and welcome to my giant book haul. This is not even all the books, but even just this number of books is surprisingly pretty heavy. Anyway, I have acquired a bunch of books, so I thought it would be fun to show you guys all the books I bought recently that I'm planning on reading over the next few months. And I've actually filmed this video 3 times. Well, this will be my 3rd time filming it. It's a long story. I had some mic issues. I made the same mistake twice. We're not making that same mistake again. Audio is now recording. So bear with me because I have given my thoughts and the summaries on all these books twice already. Not that I don't love just like talking about books over and over, so I don't mind. Okay, let's get started. I've actually never read a Colleen Hoover book before, so I'm really excited for this to be my first ever Colleen Hoover book. I got the idea to get this book from Steph Borer. One day I'm gonna figure out how to pronounce her last name, but if you don't know who she is, you probably do, but she's a booktuber, and this book was in her 5-star recommendations. This book is about Fallon, and she's planning to move across the country, but on her last day in LA before she moves, she meets Ben, and Ben is an aspiring novelist, and they have like an immediate attraction, so they spend her last date together, and then time goes by, they have their own relationships, own problems, own personal lives, but they meet on the same day every single year, and it just sounds so cute. The fact that they meet on the same day every single year is like super cool, and I don't know if this book is fall vibes, but the fact that they meet every single year on November 9th, which is in the fall, and it's currently October, means I think this will be a fantastic fall read. Then I got One Last Stop by Casey McKeeston, and this book is about August, and she's very cynical. She just moved to New York, but one day on the subway she sees this really cool girl, Jane, and slowly seeing Jane every day on the subway becomes like the best part of her day, and she's like really crushing over Jane. But then she figures out that Jane is displaced from the 1970s. So this is like your average typical New York subway romance with time travel. I did not read The Summer before I bought the book. I just saw it was by Casey McKeeston, whom I love. And let me tell you, the first time I filmed this video, I was really surprised that this book has time travel in it. Then I got Top Secret by Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy. And let me tell you, this book seems mega juicy. This book is about Keaton and Luke, and Keaton has a girlfriend. He's in a frat, like your typical straight white male bro. And one day his girlfriend says that she wants a threesome for her birthday, and she wants the other person to be a male. So it's Keaton's job to go out and find a male. So he gets on this dating app and he's messaging people anonymously, seeing if anyone is like interested. And he starts talking to this one guy a bunch. And remember, everything's anonymous, so he doesn't actually know who this guy is. And he starts to kind of like this guy, which really confuses him, and he starts like questioning his sexuality. It turns out the guy he's talking to is one of his frat brothers who he hates. And it's dual POV, so that was not a spoiler. You figure out like right away that he's like talking to his frat bro because you're seeing both of their point of views as they talk to each other. So it's like enemies to lovers, questioning of sexuality, also this threesome aspect going on. Also, he has a girlfriend while all this is happening. So there's a lot going on, and it seems so juicy. I think I'm just gonna like really love this book. You guys, then I got Addicted to You by Becca and Krista Ritchie, and I've heard so much about this series. It's 10 books long. It's the Addicted series and the Calloway Sisters series, but they involve the same characters and the same timeline, so you intermix the books that you're reading. Here's the reading order, just so that makes sense. But this is the first book in the Addicted series, and the first one recommended to read in the reading order. So this book is about Lily and Lo, and Lily is a sex addict and Lo is an alcoholic, and they're also childhood friends, and they decide to pretend to fake date in order to help each other hide their addictions from their families. So it deals with addiction, fake dating, childhood friends to lovers, and I've just heard such good things about this series, and I've heard that there's a lot of like really great friendships in this series, which I don't think I've read anything friendship driven, so I'm really excited about that element in this series. Then I got Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan, and if you see any of the books I'm holding up with this yellow on the side, it's because it's from the library. And the description for this book is actually pretty vague, so I started reading it just so I could give you guys a better description, and now I'm like 2/3 of the way through it. But this book is about Bree and Archer, and Bree had something really terrible happen to her family recently, and so in her pain about what happened, she kind of just like runs away to this small town. And in this small town, she meets Archer, and Archer also had something really terrible happen to his family, but he had that happen when he was a child, when he was a lot younger. And because of what happened in his past, he no longer speaks. Like, he does not talk at all. But Bree just like really takes a liking to him and like strike up this really wholesome friendship. So it's like friends to lovers, and also just a story really about like bonding over pain and like healing with another person. And so far, because I'm 2/3 of the way in it, I really love it. A lot of people say this is like their comfort book, and I can definitely see that. Then I got The Deal, which is also by Elle Kennedy. And The Deal is also part of a series. It's the first book in the off-campus series. And before I talk about the summary of this book, can we just like, does anybody out there like when they put shirtless men as the cover of the book? Because I think it's everyone's biggest pet peeve at this point. And when I tell you, I searched far and wide, like far and wide, to find any cover without a shirtless man on it. I could not find a single one. So I just broke down and got this one from the library. So I'm just gonna do this so we don't have to feel uncomfortable. But this book is about Hannah and Garrett, and they're in college. And Hannah has a crush on this guy and she wants to make him jealous. So she makes a deal with this guy, Garrett, who's the captain of the hockey team at their college. And they're going to fake date in order to make Hannah's crush jealous. And in exchange for Garrett agreeing to do that, Hannah is going to tutor him because Garrett's GPA is really bad. And if his GPA gets too bad, then he won't be able to keep playing hockey. And that's just his dream, is to be a pro hockey player. The fact that it's set in college, we've got a captain of a hockey team and fake dating and trying to make someone jealous. Like, that's just like all the elements of something I know I would like really get into. Then I got Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. So this is about Josh and Hazel, and Hazel is like really spunky, really outgoing, really bold, really out there, and Josh is like the polar opposite. He's like very quiet. But now when the book starts, it's 10 years later, they've gone through bad relationships and they're both single now, and they decide that they're gonna help each other find love. So they're setting each other up on double blind dates. When I saw this book, what made me really excited about it is that like Hazel is the one that's like super like crazy and spunky, and Josh is more of the quieter one. I feel like in so many romance books, the girl is like the like awkward, like quirky, like quiet one, and the guy is like super charming and like badass. So I'm very excited that the roles are reversed. Then I picked up 99% Mine by Sally Thorne from the library. If you know Sally Thorne, you know she wrote The Hating Game, which people absolutely love, and I also really love. And I did read some reviews on Goodreads, which I should not have. I need to stop reading reviews because people said it was good but just like didn't compare at all to The Hating Game. So now that I know people are saying that about this book, I'm scared that when I read it, all I'm gonna do is compare it to The Hating Game. But this book is about Darcy, and she has a twin named Jamie. And one day, Darcy and Jamie inherit a cottage with strict instructions to flip the cottage so they can sell it and like fix it up. And so Jamie enlists the help of his childhood bestie, Tom. And Darcy has always had a crush on Tom, but because Tom is her literal twin brother's best friend, Tom has always been off limits. So despite the reviews, I am so excited for this book because it's brother's best friend romance, which I've never read that trope, and I've really been wanting to. And it's not just like brother's best friend, it's her twin brother's best friend. Like, I feel like if you're twins, you have like a different bond, so your best friends are gonna be like extra off limits. Next, I got Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert, and I've heard a ton about this series. I knew it was a series, but when I got it, I just subconsciously wasn't clicking that it's a series. I already have the Off-Campus series and the Addicted series, and now I have the Brown Sisters series, so I have a lot of series and books to read. I wanted an all-consuming series. I don't know that I wanted 3 of them, but here we are. This book is about Chloe Brown, and she's like a geeky computer nerd, but one day she has a near-death experience and she decides she's gonna turn her life around, she's gonna live a little. So she makes a list of stuff she wants to do, like enjoy a crazy drunk night, ride a motorcycle, travel the world, do something bad. She's just trying to be like more edgy and live her life. So she enlists the help of this guy, Red, who is a handyman, to help her on her mission to be a rebel. So I feel like it's gonna be like the typical like guy with like the rough exterior that like has a motorcycle and tattoos, and she's like the geeky girl who like wants to go crazy. But honestly, I'm here for it. Like, I love that. Then I got Eleanor Liffin Is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman, and I got this book, you guys, I got this book for 99 cents at Goodwill. 99 cents. I had never heard of this book before when I saw it, but I saw the little penguin symbol on it, and a lot of other books that I really like have this penguin symbol, which I'm assuming is the publishing company. So I just like cold bought this book knowing zero about it, and I ended up looking up reviews on it, which I said I should stop doing, but the reviews on it were pretty good, so I'm glad I picked up this book. But it's basically about Eleanor, and she's a little bit like socially awkward. She tends to say exactly what she's thinking, but she really doesn't feel like anything is missing from her life until she meets the bumbling new IT guy from her office, whose big heart will ultimately help her find their way to repair her own damaged heart. So yeah, not a ton in the summary, but it did get good reviews. Also, it says it's gonna be a movie soon produced by Reese Witherspoon, and I love Reese Witherspoon, so if she thinks this book was good enough to be turned into a movie, then I trust that this is a good book. Then I got 3 audiobooks. I got The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker, Corrupt by Penelope Douglas, and The X-Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This book is about Kala. She was born in Alaska, but when she was really young, her mom took her and left Alaska and also left her dad. Her mom just could not take that rural lifestyle anymore, and her dad wasn't willing to leave. And now Kala is 26, and she gets a call that her dad is sick and he's dying. So if she ever wants a chance to have a relationship with her dad, now is like the last chance. So she decides to go to Alaska, and when she's there, she meets Jonah. They definitely like butt heads and don't get along at the beginning, but over time they end up bonding and becoming friends and becoming more than friends. But she's only in Alaska temporarily to be with her dad, and then she's gonna go back to her city life. So she's found herself in the same situation that her parents were in years and years ago when she's 2 years old, of whether she should stay in Alaska to be with Jonah, who doesn't want to leave Alaska, or if she should go back to her life in the city where she wants to live. And I just feel like that is like such a sad and like so realistic problem to have in a relationship where there's nothing wrong with the relationship, but you're just not looking for the same things in life. Like they don't even remotely want to live in like the same area at all. I don't know how I would figure out the solution to that problem if I was in her shoes. Then I got Corrupt by Penelope Douglas, and this is a dark romance, and I've never read a dark romance before. I don't know like how dark is dark, but this book is about Erica, and ever since she was young, she's always had a crush on Michael, who is her boyfriend's brother, which already that's such a sticky situation to have feelings for your literal boyfriend's brother. Michael has always had a crush on her as well, but 3 years ago, Erica was the reason why Michael's high school friends went to prison. Michael's friends have just gotten out of prison, and they want revenge on Erica, and Michael is gonna help them get revenge on her. So now that I'm saying the summary out loud, I can definitely see how this is gonna be a really dark romance, because the romance is between 2 people, and one of them wants to do terrible things to the other out of revenge. Then, like I said, I got The X-Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon, and this book, the plot sounds so good. It's about Shay and Dominic, and they work together at a public radio station, and they do not get along. They very much like butt heads as co-workers. So Shay pitches a show idea called The X-Talk, where 2 exes co-host a radio show, and they give dating advice and also talk about what went wrong in their relationship because they're exes. Her boss loves the idea, the show gets the green light, but her boss wants Shay and Dominic to be the co-hosts and pretend to be exes. Because they don't get along in real life, the boss thinks that they would do great as fake exes, because typically exes like don't like each other and exes fight a lot. And so kind of reluctantly, Shay and Dominic agree to do the show. They're literally lying to everyone in their life and all of their listeners in order to keep up this lie. Only Shay, Dominic, and the boss know that it's a lie. And then they start to get feelings for each other. But obviously that's complicated because they're literal fake exes. They can't be like falling for each other now. So that sounds just so juicy to me. And I love a good like coworkers romance. And also they're working at a radio station, which I don't know anything about radio, but that just seems like super fun. And yeah, that is all of the books that I got. Let me know if you guys have read any of these books and if I made good choices in purchasing these books, or if you have any other book recommendations. And yeah, I have a bunch of really exciting videos planned for this month. I'm planning to do a 24-hour readathon. I also have a read with me video for The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo coming out soon. And then of course, my October reading wrap up at the end of the month. All right, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.